This may seem odd, but imagine a world where four forces act seamlessly as one. That's the power of net-centric warfare. One Navy, one Air Force, one Marines, one Army, one force. Northrop Grumman, defining the future.
From the Watergate Building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now, here are Hotline editors Chuck Todd and John Mercurio.
Welcome to Hotline TV. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Chuck Todd. Today we're talking turnout, and one of the best ways to increase your voter turnout, ballot measures.
That's right.
It's
That's
October.
right.
October is ballot initiative.
Ballot measures. With 200-something initiatives, referenda, that is my Latin,
Plural.
amendments, proposals, and questions to be voted on, we're picking just the top 3 issues that could drive voter turnout this year. Producer Reed, what's our numero tres?
Just like in 2004 is same-sex marriage. Various forms of it are on the ballot in 8 states, and it could affect big races in Tennessee, Virginia, and Wisconsin.
Or could it not? Let me just twist the conventional wisdom.
Here's
Will this
where I
Foley
think,
scandal have an impact on the gay marriage?
in an odd way, I actually think that these things could be actually more helpful to Republicans now than less, because I think there's no reason for these evangelicals to come out and vote for these members of Congress or incumbent senators or stuff like that.
Sure.
But you know, if you're at least got something else to get them to the polls, like, you know, hey, don't, you know, let's not be allowing gay marriage to become legal, you know, or something like that. Let's not allow that to become, you know, not cut off our noses by our face.
Sure, I heard. Katie bar the door.
There it
Two
is.
things, though. I think, first of all, these amendments seem to be, according to local state polls, passing by wide margins. It's hard to really draw voters out when when you don't have something that's a close election. Plus, the 8 states that they're taking place in, by and large, I think could help draw turnout in the Senate races. But I think the place where the Republicans really need their turnout increased is going to be in the House. Tennessee, Virginia, those aren't states with competitive House races.
On another note, that on this gay marriage thing, watch the percentage number. You can tell a state is purple or blue if these gay marriage bans pass with with less than 65%. They are in that 55 to 65 range.
Like Oregon with 57.
When you see them pass with 70 or more,
Yeah.
then you know that that's a state that's much more Republican than you realize. It's a good way to, I've noticed, to measure these things. So and that's why pay very close attention to Virginia and the Tennessee ones.
Right.
Because don't be surprised if the Virginia number is under 60.
Under 60, but still well over 50.
Sure, but
well over
under
50.
60 would be a big deal.
Yeah,
In
I agree
a
with you.
supposedly southern state.
All
Okay,
right.
buddy, what's number 2?
Second on the list is minimum wage hikes, showing up in 6 states. Democrats hope it'll help them in big Senate races in Missouri, Montana, and Ohio. You guys think it will?
Look, I think the base that they're talking about turning out in those states and in the other states that have these amendments are going to vote. That base is turning out. That base is motivated.
I think so.
Plus,
Look, and it got labor to throw in money. I guess
it
you
got
know,
labor to
that's
throw
always
money
the
in
argue.
the early part, but
you know,
not the turnout base.
These things almost are more important, not in labor states like Missouri and Ohio, which already sort of have a labor base, but it can actually help more, you know, like last time in a place like Florida, you know, that doesn't have a traditional labor base and they're trying to recruit. What a minimum wage initiative does actually, though, is put the Republicans in a box to say they're against it.
Right.
Because these things, like the gay marriage stuff, they pass overwhelmingly. Nobody is against raising them. Nobody wants to, in their right mind, particularly tell a pollster that they're against the minimum wage.
That's not entirely true. People are against raising the minimum wage who are, you know, people with the chamber, and that's why the minimum wage hasn't been increased in 9 years in Washington.
No, but when these things are on, none of them have ever failed as ballot initiatives.
Okay,
So
all right.
that I think that you'll see, it does allow Democrats sometimes to put a Republican candidate in a box who doesn't like to look like he's being anti-worker.
But I think the other reason I'm not that convinced that it's going to be that decisive is that you already have the Republican Party on the record, for the most part, with a few exceptions, Jack Quinn, as being against the increasing the minimum wage.
they all want to increase it. They're just
right. Okay.
We'll see. I don't know.
Slower than the other ones.
Yeah.
And the number 1 initiative most likely to affect a single race.
That would be a proposed amendment in Missouri protecting stem cell research. Claire McCaskill's for it, Jim Talent's against it. What do you think? Is that the clincher for McCaskill?
Sure, I think this helps McCaskill out. This is something that Talent has been struggling with since day one. He, even up until this Meet the Press interview over the past couple of days, hasn't come up with a response on this issue that sort of work.
This
I
is
think,
not
for
about
voters.
stem cells in this race. This is about the fact that Jim Talent is talking like a politician. And I think the way he has given his answer on it has made him seem indecisive, made him seem, dare I say, John Kerry-esque in sort of this attempt to please everybody, not make everybody mad. So he's coming across indecisive and almost too political, too much like a politician. Which is very un-Jim Talent.
It's very un-Jim Talent. It's very unique for him. If you see the two of them next to each other, as you did during this Meet the Press debate, she talks more like the politician. She's trying to play both sides of it. She's sort of the liberal on social issues and the conservative on cultural issues, makes the distinction between social and culture. He's much more plain-spoken, except on this issue, and that's where Democrats hammer.
I'll say this. I don't buy this idea that somehow, as a voting turnout technique, I think in a midterm election, I don't think it's a given that somehow McCaskill's pro-stem cell, that somehow she's going to get more suburbia on her side over this issue versus rural evangelicals somehow not being fired up as well. I mean, I think in a presidential year, I see being on the pro-stem cell side would help her. I think in a midterm year, I think that's, I think it cuts both ways.
The problem, I think it cuts both ways. I think the problem for him, though, is that, look, he, in a good year, in a normal year for a midterm, would have a popular president, or ideally for a Republican, would have a popular president to campaign for him on this issue. He's with President Bush on this. He can't bring President Bush into Missouri.
My focus group of one, got a family friend who lives in Southern Illinois, watches St. Louis Media Market, and she is stunned that all she's seeing are stem cell ads, not anything about Iraq. So it is defining, at least for the St. Louis suburban voter, the issue right now in the Senate.
Absolutely. But again, for Democrats, no real divisive House races in Missouri at this point that they care about. So for the Senate,
it really is
these initiatives really are what they care about.
All right, that does it for our look at some of these top initiatives, but we'd be remiss not to mention our favorite one, a proposal in Arizona that's going to potentially award one lucky voter $1 million just for voting.
I'm moving to Phoenix, but until I do, I'll be here. I'm John Mercurio.
Did you say Fiji?
I did indeed.
Oh, you mean Phoenix.
Phoenix,
anyway,
Fiji.
October is Ballot Initiative Month here at the Hotline, and it's October, and we're discussing it. But I'm Chuck Todd. We'll see you next time on Hotline TV.